Hey guys, it's Jake here with Etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster Direct-Connect baseplate on our 2021 Chevrolet Blazer. Your baseplate is going to be your main connection point for your tow bar to be able to connect to so you can flat tow your Blazer down the road. As you can see here, our baseplate is going to be hidden behind the rear fascia, or behind the front fascia. You'll have your these tabs here are removable so you won't see them whenever you're not flat towing your vehicle. The safety chain loops will stick out of the front fascia so that you can hook up to your safety chains. What I like about this particular base plate is a lot of times the 6-pole is really hard to mount places. You either have to trim or try to make a custom bracket. This one comes with these little tabs that stick out, and all you do is bolt that 6-pole bracket right to it. It's also going to have a tab for your breakaway switch, which is, again, that's another nice feature because you have to find something sturdy enough to mount it to so that whenever this plunger is pulled, that it's not going to rip the whole breakaway switch off. Now, the reason why those other features are really nice about this base plate is because you're going to need places to mount accessories for your other components when you're flat towing. And your other components are going to be, as we mentioned earlier, your tow bar, your safety cables, your wiring, which is your diode wiring that sends the lighting signals to your taillights, and then your braking system. So when you're not flat towing your vehicle, you simply unhook your safety cable, pull this pin, depending on what type of tow bar you have. You want to release that, pull this pin, twist it 90 degrees, and then pull it out. And you can see here how nice, clean, finished look that is. We do have some base plate covers on our website that you can stick in these openings to make sure that the opening stays clean for the next time you have to put your tabs in. If you have a different style of tow bar, you want to be sure that you swap out the ends for your Roadmaster ends so that they fit into these removable tabs. As far as the installation goes, this is going to be a pretty involved installation. It's definitely one that you can do from home. You have to remove the front fascia off of the car. That process is really not that difficult. It's just a lot of screws and fasteners that you have to remove, but nothing too difficult. Hopefully with my assistance, you should be able to get it completed. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot that's involved with putting the base plate itself on. You will have to drill a few holes in your frame, but other than that, it's really not too bad of an install. So let's go ahead and check that out. To begin our installation, we're going to have 12 push-pin fasteners to remove this radiator cover. There's going to be 6 on each side. We'll just take a flathead screwdriver. You want to pop out the center. And then you'll pop the base out. I want to take this panel, we'll set it off to the side. I will have 6 T15 Torx bit screws that we'll have to remove in order to get this portion of our fascia to release. Let's take that appropriate drill bit, remove those. Now, underneath our vehicle, you're going to have 2 T15 Torx bits that attach the bottom of our fascia to our air dam. Ours are Torx bits. You may have 7mm bolts here. Whichever they are, you just need to get them removed. Now, on each side of our vehicle, we're going to have 3 more T15 Torx bit screws. It's going to be this one here on this little tab, this one, and this one here. Now inside of our wheel wells, we're going to have 4 more Torx bit screws on each side. We'll have one down here at the bottom, one about 8 inches up, and then another 8 inches up, and then there's one more right up here. This really helps to have a angled drill tool like this. If you don't, just take your time and you'll get it removed. Now again, on each side of our vehicle, we're going to have to pull our wheel well liner back, and we're going to be working back behind here. We need to unplug this light that's in this behind this marker. That is going to be right behind it. And then we're going to have 3 7mm head screws that are holding our light in here. So those screws are going to be very, very difficult to see. We'll do our best to be able to show you that. Now you'll reach in there, you're going to feel, our tab is on the bottom on the driver's side. Pull the little black tab and then disconnect that light. And then when it comes to those 7mm head screws, they're going to be on a metal bracket. There's one right here, and then one straight up above it, up here, and then there's one to the right of it. You can either use a hand ratchet, or I've got a series of swivels and the socket and extensions to be able to get back in there. Now in preparation to pull our fascia off, what we need to do is we need to tape off this seam because we need to pop this trim panel piece off. We're going to tape on either side of this line so that when we go to remove it, everything comes off smoothly and we don't have to worry about scratching the paint. Now in order to get this piece pulled out, we're just going to slide a trim panel tool in between these two, and we'll have to kind of pry up and pull out on this piece. So what you want to do is once you get that out of there, then we're going to work up our fascia here and just slowly pop each one of these out at a time. This T15 Torx bit right here is what we're looking for. We'll take our little bit driver, back in there, and get that removed. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to come over to our fascia and start peeling it off. You just want to start here at the vehicle on this side. You want to pry out, and what you can do is just slowly work your way up. If you need to use a trim panel tool or something like that, or shim, feel free to do that. There's going to be these little tabs that are holding, little plastic tabs. You just push this down on the inside of that and pop it loose. There we go. Once you get all those popped loose, the fascia should loosen up on the front. You want to double check on your both sides, make sure that your wiring is unplugged. There's one more wiring harness down here that we have to get disconnected. Now these are the two harnesses that are on the passenger side that are underneath the headlight that we need to remove. Now working with our air dam, we'll need to remove this push pin fastener here that's holding some wiring in place. Pop that off, just kind of drape it around, and we'll have 5 7mm head screws that are holding our air dam on. We need to remove those so we can set our air dam to the side. Now we've got our harness over here by our windshield wiper fluid. We have to remove this and just pull it up here to get it out of our way because we need to measure for some holes we have to drill. Now what we need to do is we'll take our base plate brackets. You want to make sure that you have the right one for the correct side. This is how they're going to get mounted up. This is our passenger side bracket. This little notch here is for this hose to go. And basically what you want to do is you want to hold it up to this flange. Make sure that this part right here is about a 1/4 inch from the end of the flange. We'll put some marks where these holes hit the flange, and then we're going to drill those out to 17/32. Now we're just using 2 zip ties to kind of hold this hose out of the way while we get this hole drilled out. But we just put a little dent there where we need to start our drill bit, and we'll just step up our drill bits until we get to that 17/32. Now once you get your holes drilled out completely, you want to hit it with a little bit of clear coat to make sure that we don't start any rust or corrosion. Now we'll take our bracket, want to kind of bend it around this area, pull out, and then line it up with our holes. Then we're going to take one of our shorter bolts that comes in our kit with a flat washer, slide it through our hole. We'll do the same thing for the back hole. You want to take some red Loctite and put it on the ends of our threads here. And once we get our hardware hand tight, we're going to come back with a 19mm socket and a 19mm wrench, and we're going to torque these down. Now we need to take our drill bits and drill a hole up through this bottom hole up into our frame rail here. We're just starting a little bit larger size. We've got our little dent poked in there so that our drill bit doesn't walk on us, and we're going to drill this out to 17/32 also. Now we could take that same size bolt we used for our other holes there, a split lock washer, and then we're going to slide our handle nut into the end of our frame rail. And this is kind of a fun little game. We're going to slide our bolt up in there, and then you just have to line up your handle nut to the bolt. There we go. And you can usually tell once it starts threading because I can move this around and it's moving our bolt. So let's take that, run it in, make sure we're not cross-threaded. And then we'll run that up the rest of the way and then torque it down. And once you've repeated that same process on the driver's side of our vehicle, you want to take your handles from your handle nuts and just kind of work them back and forth until the little tack weld breaks off. Now we've got our base plate lifted up into place. I've got one bolt on the top holding each side up. You want to take your spacer with the 2 holes in it, pry your base plate out, then take one of our bolts with the collar on it, throw a flat washer on, line up the holes, then slide it into place. We're going to take a split lock washer and a nut and put that on the back side. You want to make sure that you have some red Loctite on there, and we're going to put red Loctite on all of our hardware. Now we're going to take our torque wrench and we'll come back and torque down those 6 bolts we just put in place. Now in order to get our additional support brackets in place, they're going to mount up just like this. You want to slide it up behind. It's going to mount just like this. So what we need to do is we need to open up. There's a square hole right here. We need to open that up, and then there's going to be an opening up top that will allow our bolt to pass all the way through and go through our weld nut here. So slide this up, get it in place, slide our bolt up through there, and that is going to be another one of those 17 30-seconds holes. Put a little red Loctite on it. You want to have a split lock washer on the head of the bolts, and then a flat washer. Now with our brackets lined up with our holes here, we can take another bolt with a flat washer, slide it up through the hole, slide a split lock washer on there, and follow it up with a nut. Now for this, we're going to take a 19mm socket on the top and a 19mm socket on the bottom, and we're going to torque this down. Now when it comes to putting your air dam back up into place, we are going to have to do quite a bit of trimming on it. To start with, you're going to have to cut this section out from the end all the way back. You want to cut that out so that our base plate can go through it. This piece will be separated from our bottom piece, and same thing with the driver's side. You'll have to cut that little piece out, but it will allow you to put your wire harness back in there and then clip it back into place. As for the bottom, we're going to essentially, on the two outermost, these ribs here, this one you're going to leave alone, but the two outermost ones, you're basically just going to cut out the center of that, leaving the rigidity to it for both of these, and that's to accommodate for that hardware to slip up in there. But once you get that trimmed out, you can mount it right back up into place. Now we're going to take our multi-tool, and we need to relocate our air temperature sensor because it's going to be right in the way of where we need to put our base plate tabs through. So we'll take our multi-tool, just cut this tab off. Essentially what we're going to do is I'm just going to leave it in this little piece of plastic because it's pretty tight in there and it helps to protect it a little bit. What you want to do is you want to take a zip tie and just zip tie it off here out of the way. Now we're going to trim out our front fascia for our base plate tabs. This is going to be fairly simple, whereas there's a lot of other models vehicles. You're going to have to cut like a clear hole through the plastic. For this one, we're just going to take this cross member here and just cut it out. Same thing with the other side. And the reason I do it at an angle like that is because when we go to put it up in there, this is actually a hollow rib, and I don't like to see that hollow side. So we'll just trim out a little bit, test fit it, then come back and trim more if we need to. Now with everything put back together and everything's working properly, that's going to do it for the installation.